But really, to kind of answer that question, I didn't do anything specific to conditions, no sand, no snow, no heat. And I really prioritized volume, like distance, as well as running with that pack.
Wow.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another GottaRunRacing podcast.
Heidi ho.
Where did you come from?
Over the fence, neighbor. Only the people our age will understand that reference. What's going on?
Not much. What's much? It's finally we got some nicer weather out there, and
Yeah, you're back on trails.
back on trails.
Norm doesn't run trails from November to May. So he's finally on trails again.
I'm a few days early to get my trail legs going, because Western States is only 2 months away. So
Well, I know, it's coming.
it's coming. Anyway, what is happening with GottaRunRacing?
Yes. Well, we've got Fiddle 50 coming up very soon. It's at the beginning of June in Shelburne. And we really are looking for some relay runners to hit that 100K. You can have between 4 and 6 runners, split up the distance however you like. It's a 1K loop, so it's going to be a party. It's going to be a party in the burn, as they call it in Shelburne. And
you can do 1K, and your teammates can do the rest.
that's right. You don't have to be a long distance runner. Just find some long distance runners.
Yeah.
So check that out at GottaRunRacing.com.
Cool. And who is on the podcast today?
Well, this is a good one. We have Jordan Tropf from Baltimore, Maryland. He's an orthopedic surgeon at Walter Reed Military Center, and he is a kick-ass marathoner.
He is a world record holder. I don't want to give it away, but in the marathon distance, and you're thinking, well, he's not the fastest marathoner, but he's a world record holder nonetheless.
And he is fast.
And we're going to talk to him about that. And we're also going to talk about Marathon Des Sables.
That's right.
Which he is came in 5th place.
This year.
This year, just a couple months ago.
That's right.
So coming up, Jordan.
Enjoy.
Welcome, Jordan, to the podcast. And big congrats on defending your title at Big Sur Marathon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, when we thank Hannah, your wife, too, for helping us set it up.
You're your manager.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no problem.
But first, before we get into the Big Sur and all your accomplishments, we just want to know back from the beginning how you even started this running journey.
Yeah, so for me, this year is just pure opportunity. And the reason I'm able to do so much right now, I'm on like a research block. And I really haven't had to say no to anything. So my priority this spring with this added time in my schedule, in other words, like I don't have patients in the hospital. I'm not taking call overnight. So I have a lot of a kind of a temporary block of freedom where I could just really do a lot of things. So I just wanted to take advantage of all the opportunities and check a few items off the bucket list, namely MDS.
Yes, we're going to definitely get to that.
But going way back, how and when did you actually start running?
Oh, that's a good question. So high school is the answer. And then I was like, okay, in high school, I wasn't like a college recruit or like a D1 athlete by any means. But I did go to college thinking like I would continue running and run in the NCAA and just do the best that I could. Mm-hmm. That really didn't pan out for me at all. I ended up going to the Naval Academy, and I got hurt over our like summer of training before college started. And I really never got back from that. I was unable to kind of fully recover. I kept getting rushed back from the coach, and I really just kind of lost interest in running, and I just wasn't having fun with it anymore. So at that point, kind of bailed on the whole college running thing, bailed on the NCAA and started running marathons. And I absolutely fell in love with that. So that was my sophomore year of college, and I've really been at it since then. And it's just been fun to see how far we could go with it.
Okay, well, let's fast forward then. You show up at Big Sur this past weekend, having just PB'd or PR. I think the Americans use PR. We say PB.
Oh, do you? Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard it both ways. Yeah, funny.
Having just PB'd at Boston like 6 days before. So how are you feeling going into Big Sur, knowing you're defending your title too?
So it was cool because of those two things, but it really didn't make it any different for me. Really in any way. I was really just happy to be back there this year. Sure, I had like previously won the last time we ran it, which feels like forever ago. It was back in 2019. Yeah. But that really didn't change anything. It didn't change my mindset going into it. I was really just happy to be there and go as fast as I could. And then on top of a PB, that was nice. That was reassuring just because coming off MDS kind of in the ultra realm and then going into marathons, I didn't really know how that was going to go. So it was totally uncharted territory, and we just did our best.
Right. Well, it worked, obviously.
I'll take it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Now, Boston to Big Sur is a record that people try to achieve, and you were trying to go for this record. What happened?
It is.
Yeah.
So the record was out there set by Mike Wardian, legend. It was like 4:51. It was super good. I knew about it, but I didn't go into it like, oh, I got to break this record. I knew it was out there. I knew I was within range. So I was going to go for it. Like I was going to run as fast as I could, but I didn't set a watch. There were no clocks on the course. So that one, just, it was, if it was going to happen, it was going to happen. But that is a record, and I missed it. I missed it by 16 seconds. So it's still out there.
Now, I was going to say, did you stop and tie your shoe? Like what?
Where the 16 seconds? 16 seconds have they been haunting?
You know, I could think of a million places to find 16 seconds on that course. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, it's just not my day, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a bummer. Maybe one day we'll go for it because that's a fun record. Like that's awesome.
Absolutely.
But not this year. Not this year.
And you're gonna try for it again next year, I guess.
If I can get to both Boston and Big Sur, which is a huge if, sure, why not? The other thing too is like I don't take fitness for granted at all. So this spring I was able to get in great shape, like running in the desert for 8 days gets you in really good shape. But that doesn't really come every year. Like some years, depending on how like the rotations line up, I'm not well rested. I'm not really in a good training position. So, we'll see where we're at next year, but hopefully I can get out to both of these.
Now, the record that you do hold is the 3 back-to-back marathons, which you did last year. And you beat that record quite handily. Now, it's interesting because I wonder, I'm not sure what the record was before in terms of which 3 marathons it was, because in a normal situation, you would never have Boston the day after Chicago, but because of COVID.
Right.
So what was the record based on before? Which 3? Do you know?
That's a really good question. I have no idea.
Okay. We're going to look it up.
Yeah, I have no idea. That was kind of an interesting part of doing that. Sure, like doing that record was fun. And I guess it's a record, but it's one of those like, I don't know, like farthest distance run while like juggling or something. It's like one of those that it's just like, it's like kind of like whatever, you know. But for that one, doing the majors and traveling to those different locations really added kind of a special element to it and made it a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's a great video on YouTube that we're going to actually include in the notes as well for people to watch, because it's very well put together and it explains the situations that you had with the travel, which we won't give away. Because we really want.
I know which
one
you're talking about. It's watching a video on yourself is like one of the most painful things in the world. It's hilarious. It's like, oh my God, do I really look like that? Do I really talk like that? but I agree. They, the Believe in the Run guys did an excellent job kind of putting that together. And it was fun just to kind of have that to culminate the whole experience.
Right.
When we watched the video and I saw you wearing a handheld, I'm thinking, I've never seen anybody wear a handheld in a marathon before. So I was like, what is this about?
Yeah, I didn't play that one super well too. First thing I did was dump that out. I was carrying around like 3 pounds of water for like the whole first 6 miles. It was just like not ideal.
But I was going to ask you about Baltimore as well, because it wasn't when you were running your marathon, you were alone for a long time. How does that play with you psychologically? The fact there's nobody around to challenge you, to push you, anything.
Yeah, it's a good question. And surprisingly, I found myself running alone on marathon courses kind of a lot, surprisingly. But Baltimore, there are some kind of areas where there's really not much crowd support, kind of at the beginning and kind of like right at the like 20-mile mark where you kind of need it. But for me, there were two things that really kind of helped me out. One was the winner of that race. I actually know pretty well. He's kind of a well-known like community runner around here. Was out there, and that was fun to kind of see what would happen. And two, that race in Baltimore, that time, I was really, really, really just focused on running my own race and not doing anything that would compromise the effort over the next few days. So running by myself was actually like almost better, because I could just do me and not worry about like somebody else making a move or like somebody else pushing it, or something like that. But the lack of like people screaming at you, like it's easy just to kind of slow down a little bit, you know, and let things go. But yeah, for me, I was just kind of focused on doing me, and it was fine.
That's awesome.
I just want to recap exactly what you achieved there. It's 3 marathons in 3 days, each one about 2:30 per marathon.
That's right.
And you broke the record by 40 minutes combined time.
Yeah.
I think something like that.
Yeah, it was, we got about a lot.
Yeah. So I tell everyone to go watch this on YouTube.
For sure.
About your whole journey, because we could go in depth, but just basically go watch the video and you got the gist of it. So.
Yeah, it was really
a lot of fun.
Done. Yeah.
Good times.
Now that you have this world record, there are other world records involved running. I was wondering if you're interested in, I don't know, fastest marathoner in a costume, or fastest person running,
juggling,
pushing a stroller.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Is any of that in your mind?
No. To be completely honest, no.
I love it.
Yeah, these records.
You can easily get it. You can
Yeah.
easily get it.
Like, I don't want to be like London Marathon, for example. I don't need to be like the fastest Spider-Man or something, you know? Like, I just don't. These records are fun when they're out there, just to kind of like shoot for. And like, we put together these 3 marathons in 3 days without like, our idea for that was like, oh, it'd be sweet if we can do this. It wasn't like, oh, let's go break this record. The fact that there was a record, we were like, all right, let's go break that record. So if I do like find myself running in a Spider-Man costume one day, under some unfortunate circumstances, we might go for that record. But right now, it's not kind of on my list of to-dos.
Speaking of Spider-Man, who you did run against at MDS.
Yeah, that's
Marathon
right.
Des Sables.
That's right.
Let's talk about.
Let's get into the MDS 250K stage race in the Sahara Desert. What was the inspiration there? Because that seems a little bit removed from what you've been doing with your marathons.
Yes. So I do not know how I first stumbled across Marathon Des Sables. Is that how you say it, by the way? Is it?
Yeah, you said it perfect.
Très bien. No, c'est pas français.
Yeah, I realized, so like Spanish, I can kind of like get by. French, do not know a word of it. Like, I was struggling out there. But how I first came across Marathon Des Sables, I'm not exactly sure. I think it was on one of those like bucket list race like lists that you can find on Google or whatever. Just because marathons for me, something that I really enjoy and have fun with is going places and doing them. That's how I got to Big Sur, for example.
Right.
So like treating it kind of like as a mini vacation, go run somewhere cool that you can't usually run, go see something new is a huge motivation for me picking my marathons and getting out there and doing them. So eventually, I came across Marathon Des Sables, and I was like, wow, that sounds amazing. That sounds hard. That sounds unique. Run across the Sahara. It was just something that I kind of had to do. And it was just a matter of when I would do this, whether it would be 3 weeks ago or whenever we did it, or when I was 50 years old. I just kind of put it on the list, which doesn't actually exist, but the figurative list of races to do. So I don't know exactly where I stumbled across that.
Well, impressive finish. You finished 5th overall.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It was fun.
That's amazing.
But what was the most challenging about these stages? Because we do know the backstory of what happened in each stage.
The conditions, the windy days. Yeah. So what was the most challenging?
Yeah, we had a sandstorm. That was wild. So the most challenging part of MDS is not the running, surprisingly. And what was so surprising was like during Marathon Des Sables, we weren't running fast, like ever. Like it was pretty interesting. It was basically like, if you keep running, you will do well. And that's the hard part, is just keep running. So for me, a few things that I learned that like I would do different that I didn't really do well was my pack. First of all, I didn't put a lot of thought into what was in it. So on the first day, I was carrying a 10-kilo pack, and the top guys were carrying 6, like hands down. So I was carrying almost double weight right off the bat. And then the other thing too is the hard part of MDS, again, is not the running. It's kind of everything else. So it's like all of the things you're used to and all of kind of your like creature comforts are not there. Like you don't sit in a chair for a week. Like you're eating out of your backpack, you're sleeping on the hard ground. So really kind of the cumulative effects of all that was unique in that it's hard to prepare for and hard to really know what to expect until you're out there.
Right. And I
so
think that's
those are kind of the harder things for me.
I think that's why they have so many repeat runners too, because once you do it once and you see all the areas that you can improve on, you want to go back and try to do better the next time, right?
Exactly. And I can think of just right off the top of my head, a handful of people who are in that exact scenario. They're like, oh, I could have done this so much better. I could have shaved time here and I'm coming back again.
And it's also a situation where you have no crew. You're on your own.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, that's tough.
So how was that's stage 2, I think, where the sandstorm, which was...
Yeah.
How was
so
that
I got super lucky. I finished right before that thing started. So finished the race, was like getting my water, carrying all the stuff back to my tent, and the sandstorm starts. So I was done, no factor for me, except my tent kept blowing over. Like I had nowhere to go. It was actually pretty miserable because the sandstorm was, it just kept blowing over all the tents. So there was like nowhere to go.
And then stage 4, I think, was the 80K. Was that, now you're doing an ultra run on one day. That's unfamiliar territory for you? Is that the longest?
Yes. Yeah. I've done one prior ultra, and it was in Key West, Florida. And it's called the Keys 100. I did the 50 because at that time I just had the weekend off. I wasn't really in shape to do anything like that. So I ended up doing the 50, and it was fully crewed. And my wife like supported me throughout that run. I destroyed myself. I was so miserable. So that was my only 50-mile experience. So I didn't take that approach in the desert. I was like, this is going to be a long day. I just need to pace myself. And it was really kind of totally different because that race, I knew that long stage, I had no idea what to expect. But just like mentally, I was in a different spot. I like knew I was going to be out there all day. I knew that like it was stage 4 and I was in good position. So I had to like compete. I knew I had plenty of food. So it was really, I was just kind of on the line, and like we were just going to see how it went, and it was uncharted territory, but it went okay.
Oh man! And then to have to do an actual marathon the next day, I believe, right?
Piece of cake.
That's day 5.
Yeah, you know what's wild was like that was the first time the marathon felt short, and in my mind, it was the first time I ever thought of a marathon as like a series of 10Ks. And it kind of like changed my whole perspective on the marathon. It's crazy. Like in Boston Big Sur, it was just like a series of 10Ks. And we're on miles here. So like, it's always like, oh, you get to 20 miles and it's like halfway. Cause that's where everybody hits the wall. But when you're like racing these things, if you just take a 10K at a time, it's a nice kind of bite-sized way to approach the marathon.
Nice. Do you see ultras in your future?
That's a good question. Maybe. They're a lot of fun. I love doing it, and I love the idea of them. Like, I love running on a trail for 50 miles is good for me now. Like, people were throwing around these 100-mile ambitions very casually at MDS. I was with like all these just outstanding, like accomplished ultra runners. And for me, I'm not at 100 miles yet. There's no way. But as I kind of do get older, maybe start having more time and kind of just start growing in the sport of ultra running, maybe I'll take it a little more seriously. But ultra running for me right now is I'm not there. I still like the marathon.
Yeah, you've got lots of time, so just pace yourself.
Yeah,
literally.
Exactly.
Now you've also done a couple of Ironmans.
So my last one was Ironman Maryland, which I was lucky enough this year to win my age group in Ironman Maryland. So I'm going to Kona in the fall.
Congratulations!
Oh,
That's
thank you.
amazing.
I'm pumped for that. That's going to be like my next big thing.
Yeah.
But I think I ran like a 246, 248, something like that. I know I could do it faster. What's so surprising is just running a single marathon kind of beats me up more than an entire Ironman. And I can't explain it. I don't know what it is, but like I get off the bike in those Ironmans, and I mean, so far I felt fine, like great.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. It's just like a good warm up or what. But I'm hoping I can get that marathon time down. We'll see.
Yeah. And you did South Africa as well, right?
I did.
Yeah. That's
so
awesome.
Yeah, the Ironmans for me have been like destination based. Mm-hmm. So my first one I did right when I graduated college, and it was the same thing. It was like, I have free time over the summer. Let's do something sweet. So I talked my dad into going to Cairns, Australia with me.
Nice.
And so I did it in Cairns, and then that was my first Ironman. I did like medium, like, okay, I was in the 18 to 24 age group, which like nobody is in at that time. So I ended up winning my age group that year, but wasn't able to go to Kona because I was starting medical school while that was happening, and they wouldn't let me go. They're like, priorities, bro. Like, no. So that we did that one. It was amazing. And then the next one was South Africa. Same reason. It's like, let's go do an Ironman somewhere sweet. And then this year we did Maryland. I mean, you look at the Ironmans I've chosen to do. It's like Cairns, Australia, South Africa, and there's like Maryland, like right in my backyard. The Ironman, honestly, it's a bike race. Like if you're a good biker, because you're on your bike for 112 miles, like 4 or 5 hours, you're going to be really, really good. But being good at the marathon helps. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you should come to Canada and do the one I did, which is Mont Tremblant, and you can learn your French.
Yeah. Oh man, I have a long way to go with my French. But that one looks awesome, and it's in range. The other one in Canada is Whistler, looks great too. Yes. But they just moved it. It's, what's it called? Like
Penticton. I think they went back to Penticton.
That's where they went to.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So other than Kona, what's next for you?
So for me, right now, what's really important for me is I kind of divide my running up into seasons almost, like spring and fall. And I kind of treat my training that way. So I'll train up for a good spring, try to hit like a peak race. And same thing for the fall. I'll train up for the fall, hit a peak race. So for me, I'm taking a hard stop right now, 2 weeks, recover. And that kind of keeps me hungry too. Like some people are like, oh, I'm in such great shape. I don't want to stop running right now because I feel like I can do something sweet right now. But really, if you're honest with yourself and listen to your body, it's a good thing to take a break. And that keeps you hungry kind of for the next thing. You can kind of pick up in a different spot next time you go. So for me, fall, it's going to be Kona. That's going to kind of be the priority.
Right.
And I think that's going to take most of my time just because the training for the Ironman, you need to go on these like 4, 5, 6 hour bike rides. And that's going to be really hard to do. So that's pretty much going to be my weekends. Right. But I'm going to kind of focus in on that. And then I think Marine Corps is going to be my marathon.
Oh, nice.
For the fall. I run that like almost every year. The Navy actually puts together a team and they compete every year in that. So I kind of have that on my calendar. It's like a good motivation. And then, so that's my fall, really. It'll be Kona and then one marathon, probably Marine Corps. And then spring is TBD, wide open. If things line up, I'll love to go back to Big Sur. I mean, any excuse to go there is worth it for sure.
Well, don't count out trail running.
I know. So yes. And MDS kind of really got me into trail running. And honestly, when I'm training, I prefer the trail. So
you're an orthopedic surgeon, so you're dealing with joints, hips, knees, all those things all day long. So we want to know, is running good for you?
Yeah, so that's the $1 million question, and people have asked that question in an academic context, and it's really hard to study. So here's what we know: there's been some evidence that like running is actually protective of osteoarthritis. That's kind of like the biggest joke, right? Like people are like, oh, like you're going to need new knees, new hips. Like, are you going to replace them yourselves or whatever? Or like all that pounding on the pavement, all those 100 miles on the trail, like you're going to have terrible arthritis or need knee replacements or things like that. And there's really no conclusive evidence either way at this point. There's been some evidence that shows that running is actually protective of osteoarthritis, and that the biggest risk factor for having arthritis and needing joint replacement is actually obesity, like being overweight, which makes sense. Because if you think about like all the forces on your joints, if you weigh 400 pounds, running usually keeps you fit. And although it does increase those forces, you don't have that body habitus, and it's probably cumulatively less stress. But right now there's no concrete scientific evidence kind of in either way that says, oh, running's terrible for you or running's really good for you, in terms of like needing orthopedic surgery.
Well, this has been great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
thanks for having me. This is awesome. This is huge for me.
Well, you've done quite a few amazing things in a short period of time. So we'd love to see where you're going to end up, and we'll for sure be following you at Kona because we watch Kona every year.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, hopefully I can make you proud. We'll see how it goes.
And hopefully in 5-6 years from now, maybe we'll see you at 100 miler, perhaps.
There we go.
I do not rule it out, but I got some ways to go until I'm there.
Well, we like to end our podcast with a couple rapid fire questions, if you don't mind. They're short and sweet.
Yeah, for sure.
Just to have a little bit of fun. All right. Are you superstitious?
No.
I think I already knew the answer to that. Do you have any tattoos?
Nope.
Name a food you could eat for a week straight.
Chicken.
What's the last concert you went to?
Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Didn't see that one coming, right?
Not at all.
That's our era.
Oh, I love Jimmy Buffett. So Jimmy Buffett concerts are so wild. It's like the weirdest group of people. There's like people who are like my grandparents' age and then like teenagers. It's the wildest thing in the entire world.
Yeah.
What's another sport you'd like to excel in other than what you're doing?
Ooh, triathlon. I think ultra running would be cool. Really endurance, kind of those endurance type sports are what I would like to be good at. I don't need to be like LeBron James or like super good at I don't need to be Tom Brady and the best football player ever. I like those endurance.
It pays better.
Yeah.
It does. There's not a lot of money in this sport, but that keeps us honest,
And last question. If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to and why?
Right now. I don't want to go anywhere. 2022 is so easy. It's amazing.
In that case, pick a superpower. One more.
Ooh, for me, I definitely fly. 100%.
Yeah. That's a popular one.
Agree.
Yeah. I think you can't go wrong with that one. Like,
No.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your time.
Thanks so much.
Really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
definitely. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And you got friends in Canada whenever you want to come up this way.
Yep.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Come and do our Toronto Marathon.
There you go.
Yeah, on the list. Not kidding.
Yeah.
It's beautiful up there. I can't believe I haven't been up there more than I have, honestly.
Yeah.
But COVID's put a huge damper on kind of a lot of what I've been able to do.
For sure. We hear you.
But,
We're here. All right.
All right, Jordan.
Awesome.
Thanks so much. Cheers.
Thanks again.
All
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Well. That was Jordan Tropf. Lots of energy.
Yeah, what a great conversation. He's got oh man. I wish I was 30.
You wish you were 30?
I wish I was 30 because there's so many races to do out there and
You saying you're running out of time?
running out of time and running out of energy. But what an incredible achievements he's
Especially this world record. If you go watch the video on YouTube of putting this together, Believe in the Run on YouTube, it just tells the whole story of what happened. So that's why we didn't go too much into it, because just go watch the video and
exactly.
You'll get the gist of it, and it's going to be in the show notes below.
And it will inspire you too.
Absolutely. And then Marathon Des Sables, which is completely off the rail of a marathon.
Completely different.
Although it has the name marathon in it, but let's be real here. Sandstorms and 84K days.
Sleeping on the ground.
And
eating dehydrated food.
yeah, so there you go.
And I can't wait to see Kona.
Yeah, we're definitely going to look out for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
I wish him well.
There you go.
If you'd like to check out the extended version of our chat with Jordan, please check out our podcast channel at GottaRunRacing, wherever you download your podcasts.
Cheers.